Hello and welcome to the Pitt State Esports broadcast as we have Pittsburgh State University's League of Legends team facing off against Lehigh University. I'm Gabriel Cozart.
And I'm William.
And we'll be broadcasting today's game for you. Alrighty, we're going to get right into the draft here.
Picks and bans with Pitt State being red side, or this first pick.
Pitt State, I believe, is blue side here, actually. And they're going to take Evelyn off the table. Pretty strong jungle pick at the moment. If Lehigh has any experience on that champion, it's a great one to get off the board.
From the other side, we're taking Nyla, the shortest range ADC. And you did say if they had any experience with it in this particular season, is this going to, or do we get to see the other teams, or do we know what their experience is like, or are we going into these games completely blind, or?
At least at the start of the season, outside of unless we have the op.gg, we don't currently have access to what the champions are pretty well versed at. I do happen to know on the Pitt State roster that Nyla Ban is targeted at the Pitt State AD carry. Sean in space has a lot of time on that Nyla. The Pitt State mid lane, also a very avid Katarina player, so Lehigh taking that off the table. Pretty heads-up play by them. And then Jarvan, just another, probably the strongest jungler in the game at the moment. And Pitt State does have a lot of experience with it, so pretty good scouting there from the Lehigh side. Getting those priority picks off the table, they're going to really put Pitt State in a bit of a bind with those.
And then for the final, or the other two picks on the Pitt State side, we've got Hui, the artist, who I personally haven't had much play against, but he's got a magic sort of utility kind of a kit. And Mordekaiser, the dominant bullying top laner who kind of just swings his mace and does what he wants.
All right, and we're going to get a Mumu picked up on the Pitt State side, likely going into the jungle. Lehigh going to answer with Shyvana as their jungler.
Yeah, so it looks like they're seeing the Amumu, who is probably jungle, could be support, but they feel pretty safe picking their jungler in response.
They're going to go Shyvana Jinx here. I would expect Pitt State to respond with their entire bot lane here. And they're going to pick up Caitlyn for their AD carry. We'll see who they pair with that.
All right, so in-game, you also have some of the lore going in then as well, with the classic matchup of Caitlyn versus Jinx. You've got the cops going after the troublemakers. Do they still run that in-game mini-game in customs, or is that in norms only?
I don't think it happens in the custom battles.
That is unfortunate. Because that's one of the fun things about.
I think they're gonna pick up a Zac here. We'll have to see where that one's gonna go. They could be looking to flex a Mumu into that support role with maybe Zac going into the jungle. Although we have seen a bit of Zac top and Zac mid, so a nice flexible pick there for that blue 3 side. Lehigh gonna round out their bot lane with a Lulu support.
So it looks like they either believe Pitt has locked in their full bot lane, or they're confident they can target them out with their last 2 bans. But seeing a top lane ban in the Renekton, it looks like they're just confident in their laning and they're going at it.
Yeah, so Lehigh not expecting that Zac to be top lane. So they're going to ban away the Renekton and Jax. And Pitt State answering with a couple of top lane bans of their own. Lehigh with their top and mid lane left to pick. We'll see who they give the priority counter pick.
So the teams are shaping up so far. Looks like Pitt State's just gonna look to make a bunch of picks because they've got two sort of CC brawlers and the longest range champion available.
Yeah, and Vladimir could go either way, so it's a pretty good pick here from the Lehigh side. If their top and mid lane are both skilled Vladimirs, that Vladimir can go in either lane, so they might look to trade off depending on what the matchup ends up being. Pitt State looking to get a Pike in that support role. I kind of like this here. Really, as you said, locking in on that pick potential. And then Aatrox going in the top lane. The Pitt State top laner has the Renekton and Aatrox are his two top picks. So we'll see if he can really be a dominant force in this game. That is one of his most comfortable champions.
So it looks like your Pitt State side did get a bunch of what they were looking for, but I don't want that to discredit Lehigh's scouting or bans because you were saying that particularly in the early season that this is, we don't have a lot of information. But with their 5 bans, they managed to take out three of Pitt State's most played champions. So it looks like Lehigh's really doing their homework, and we'll see if it comes through for them.
Alrighty. So, from the Pitt State side, looking at a more of a pick comp here. We'll see if they're able to play that to much avail. Lehigh with a pretty standard engage, I would say, from the Shyvana and Vladimir. Lulu Jinx going to be a really powerhouse in the late game. Although we'll have to see. I think I prefer Pitt State's team composition here. I think it plays together just a little bit better. What are your thoughts?
I think, like I was saying earlier, that Pitt State's looking to make a bunch of picks because they have not a lot of raw power output, especially in the late game, as opposed to what Lehigh has with their hyper carry Jinx backed up by the continual enchanter support on that Lulu. So I think that if Pitt can get a lead early, that they can just close this game out before Lehigh can get to their strengths because they're looking at more of a late game comp. But if the game drags on, I don't know that there's going to be much Pitt can do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll have to see if Lehigh is able to make use of their hyper carry in that Jinx late game, or if Pitt can shut them down. We'll be back after this short message with the game number 1.
Pitt State has expanded health services through a partnership with Community Health Center. Medical and behavioral services are available and always there for you. CHC will see you regardless of your ability to pay. Complete the financial assistance form, and CHC will bill you based on your personal income and not your family's. Your bill isn't tied to your academics, so you won't face course holds due to unpaid bills. To transfer providers for medication, sign up for an establishing visit. We recommend using Apothecare for convenient pharmacy delivery to your doorstep. Signature required. Don't forget to bring your insurance card on your first visit, and CHC will keep it on file. All insurance types are accepted. If you experience food insecurity, visit our Gorilla Pantry. Walk-ins are always welcome. CHC partners with Safe House to offer certified advocates and crisis and violence prevention, and conduct SANE exams on campus for evidence collection.
Discounted services are offered at all Southeast Kansas locations. Show your Pitt State ID and your copay is waived.
Alrighty, and we are back into game. Both teams looking to, Lehigh looking to counter the invade here, but Pitt State looking at the top side. Both teams just gonna miss each other here.
So it's looking like they're not going to get any sort of picks that they may have been looking for by going in with the full team, just not seeing anybody. So with that happening, it leads it to both teams to just start laying down some deep vision. And where do you think of that? Who got more out of that early invade?
Well, I think the ward on the red buff is really nice for Pitt State. I like what they were trying to do. They're trying to catch the Riven on her way to lane, get the Aatrox started off there. That is a really nice heads-up ward there from that Vladimir on the Raptor pit. So I think with the way that it shook out, although with Shyvana now showing on that red buff ward, Pitt State going to have a lot of advanced knowledge. Mumu actually looking to an invade now. He's going to pick up the Shyvana's Raptors here and maybe look for an early kill onto Shyvana. We'll have to see how that plays out. Although I think the Pitt State bot lane was spotted by that Raptor ward.
I think so too, but even if they weren't with that invade, they're just getting to lane fairly late. I didn't happen to see if they were there for all of the initial minions, but that could also be an issue. Looks like Caitlyn's getting poked pretty heavily from getting there late. It opened it up for Jinx to get a couple of free shots, but they're just going to push it in at them and make sure they can't abuse that range too badly.
Yeah, Lehigh gonna get the lane advantage, hitting that level 2 power spike just before the Pitt State roster. So Pitt State gonna take a nice step back there. Going back into the mid lane there, we have the... Zach did end up going into the mid lane.
Early game, this is going to be a fairly classic back and forth. No one's making any huge power moves. We're just trying to get the minions farmed and push in. I do like that Riven play there. It didn't seem like a lot. It is just the pushing it in. But upon closer inspection, you see that the stun that they did was the same.
Shyvana with a nice invade path there. Zach going to just slingshot out. Nothing to worry about from him.
And he's still got his passive up where he can get that revive if he needs it. You can see on his health bar, the little wings on his level number indicate that he still has his revive ready to go. So he's looking just fine.
And I do really like this Zach mid lane pick. With the updated map this current season, having the wider and longer mid lane really allows Zach to shine in the mid lane, whereas it used to be a little bit more constricted, and so he wasn't able to really make full use of his slingshot. But since they've opened it up a bit, he can really surprise people in the mid lane. Nice bit of trading there going on. Lulu stepping a little far up, though. Going to take quite a bit of poke damage there.
Yeah, and it was looking really good for that Lehigh side, but as Pitt State just keeps backing off, they get to, like I said, use that Caitlyn's range to its full advantage and keep getting the poke in while they're walking away, doing some really good kiting to make those trades about even. But we'll see if they hold that as Shyvana comes down to them. They do know she's there because of that Scryer's Bloom, and it looks like they're just going to let everybody walk away.
Yeah, we're just going to handshake it and step back. Pretty significant health lead here for the Pitt State top laner. Riven getting dangerously low here, and we have a Mumu on that top side. Pitt State could be looking to set up a dive. But Riven will get the recall off and make it home safely. Both junglers kind of just stealing each other's farm here a bit and getting the reset.
With a
bit of action here, diving in. Pike gonna flash forward for the kill. We'll see if they can pick up the Lulu as well. Pike charging it up.
This hook lands, she's dead. He's got it, and that just serves it up on a platter for his Caitlyn.
Lulu with the ignite, gonna try to get something back on the tail end of this, but not quite enough damage. Sean and Space gonna live with just a sliver of health there. Very well played by the Pitt State bot side.
Yeah, with that ignite, getting it closer than I was comfortable with, but doing a good job of letting Sean have that kill, being very confident in their abilities.
Yeah. Sean holding on to barrier there is very heads-up play on him. I think a more panicked player would have just pressed that barrier to make sure that the ignite didn't tick over that kill onto the Lulu. But and our first objectives are up. We have the Chemdrake up, as well as the Void Grubs. We'll see Zach roaming up, getting some vision on there, just to make sure the Lehigh isn't trying to take advantage of the Shyvana's. Shyvana has a really fast clear for those grubs with her burnout. Bit of a trade back and forth here. Initially going the way of Riven, but turned around after a couple of really good knockups there from the Aatrox. Both members with their ultimates.
Ultimates
Now,
and
Riven's getting in a really
HP.
tough spot there in that top lane.
All right, there goes a Moo going in on the grubs, and it looks like they're just going to trade with Shyvana on the bot side, getting the dragon now supported by her bot lane. So
Yep.
they're going to pick up
See
that
the pinks
dragon.
coming out
pretty
from Pit
clean.
State. They know that dragon is going over.
But you
They're
also
willing to
see
just
a
handshake
Moo
that trade.
claiming the grubs on the other side, and I think they're happy to just trade that.
Yeah, I think since the addition of the Void Grubs, taking the Grubs early is the more preferable route. It really allows the team to snowball as you get the extra damage on those towers just throughout the game. And I personally prefer to focus on that top side as opposed to the dragons early. But if you can get those dragons stacking, it can prove to be a problem come late game. So we'll have to see if Lehigh is able to keep the pressure up on those dragons, if they're able to get up onto that soul point and really threaten an end game where we have the hyper carry Jinx with a dragon soul. That could be a very terrifying position.
And
Top laners going at it. Both ults popped.
What soul do you think would be the strongest in this matchup? Because with the Kimdrake being first, it can't be there, but.
Well, if you have the Jinx, a Hextech soul is always really scary. Caitlyn, though, gonna get the kill will go over to Pyke, but the kill gold will be shared over with the Caitlyn, thanks to Pyke's passive.
Oh, it's his passive. I thought it was part of the ult. Like, I thought it was the passive on his ult, so that he did execute with his ult, but to share the gold, I thought it was a requirement that he use his ult.
It is.
Okay.
That's what I had meant.
That's
Sorry.
No, it happens. So when he does that, he also gets at least temporary resets on the ult. So I don't know if he's got it. He does not.
Going to spot out this gank attempt from the Shyvana. Just going to back off to safety, taking their kill and their turret plating. Caitlyn going to look to reset. Sitting on quite a bit of gold there, although Lehigh pushing in a little bit fast. Gonna stop that recall. And Sean looking for a little bit more gold here. We'll see if Pyke can hook the Lulu. It goes
not
in.
Quite into
Lulu
the
has
trap.
to flash away.
Got him.
And it looks like it's about to be another kill going over onto the Lulu, although we have a bit of a disjointment there.
Yeah, that mixed targeting almost cost them, but it looks like their Amumu gets there in time to hold everybody still and let Pit State
Korean
walk
guy
out of
coming
that
in
one.
for the rescue, going to keep his bot lane alive.
Oh, and Aatrox landing those chains again to hold
Both
the Riven on
flashes
top
blown
of
by
him.
the top laners. Riven looks like she's going to get away, although...
He's diving. Nah.
Yeah, and she will get away. Just a sliver of health. Although she might stay trying to catch this wave. This could be a greedy play here from the Lehigh top lane.
Well, that Riven does see in the tri-bush they have a pink ward up, so they know they're not getting ganked from there. And since they're not pushing out, they don't need to worry about a gank from River. But it looks like they've just set themselves up to get
massive wave here. I see why the Riven wanted to stay, but gonna get punished by the Pit State top lane. Very unfortunate for Lehigh as they are now down 4 kills and a significant amount of turret plating. Riven really going to lose a lot here.
Coming into action, letting Aatrox pick up the extra plating. That's getting the snowball rolling. At 11 minutes into the game, I'm seeing 3,000 to 3,500 gold lead. So.
Pit State with a pretty strong lead there. A lot of damage coming off with just that hook. This Pyke is really turning into a monster. Decent little trade there, and Pitt State looking to pick up the rest of those grubs.
Shavana's gonna show up to contest and just not
Up
fast
too little
enough.
too late. And Shavana gonna pay the price, checking that blind. Flash blown by Vladimir. Flash and Ghost blown by Vladimir. Although Lehigh might be able to pick up something here on the Pitt State bot lane. Lulu gonna knock up the Caitlyn, and that will be one traded back shutdown going over to the Jinx, and that is not what you want to see if you are Pitt State.
Maybe not, but with the execute that Pike has loaded into his ult, Sean may not have been able to get either of those kills, but he did get some fairly significant damage off. And as you were just talking about that Pike being a monster, there it
And
is.
there
and
he
with the resets,
goes.
he's going for another one.
And I expect he will get it. The Spike with a lot of movement. And that will be number 2 going over. A double kill to Pike. And it looks like the mid lane might be going down as well. Not quite going to happen. Although, here's the follow-up. Can Zach get the kill?
Vlad with
Or
the
will
Q
Vlad
to get
heal it
out.
off?
That was
Just
very
barely
greedy
walking away
going
with
for that
enough health.
turnaround once he was out of range. I know he was looking for the Q to get the heal up, but that could have gone real bad. Pitt State learning from earlier, the no more grubs to trade for these dragons. They're just going to take them out. There's no trade here. Just take
Yep.
the dragon, pick up a wind drake, and move a little
That
bit
is going to
faster.
shut down the dragon stacking potential for Lehigh, so that's going to push off that win condition for them just a little bit longer. That's another solo kill going to the Pitt State top lane. And this is where that comfort really comes into play. We talked about it in draft. The Pitt State top lane, very comfortable on this Aatrox, and it's really showing in this game.
Yeah, and just 13 minutes in, so we're pushing down towers on both sides, thanks in large part to those grubs. We've got the first turret on top side before 14, so that's before those turret plates fall off, meaning he gets, or the Pitt
All
State
5
team,
plates, yep. Going
not
to the
just
Pitt
the
State top lane.
Aatrox, gets
That Aatrox,
big money
very
off those
wealthy.
plates. And they do almost the same on the bot side. Don't quite finish the tower, but get 4 of those plates off before they fall off naturally.
Vladimir healing off a lot of that damage. It's going to be close. If he gets another Q off, this could be bad for
Zach
Pitt State mid
also
lane. But Zach
healing,
picking up
picking
the
up all
orb,
of
he will
his
secure a
blobs.
solo kill onto that Vladimir. And there goes that Pike again. Utterly dominant performance here from the Pitt State support. Taking Pitt State up to an 8,000 gold lead going into the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, but I want to point out not just on that massive gold lead, but also on all of these neutral objectives, which Amumu is on again. The only one they've given up so far has been that Kimtech Drake, and that was so they could trade for what is arguably the more impactful neutrals. So it's not just in kills. Pitt State's really cleaning up all the way around on this game.
Yeah, and they use those that early trade to great effect, being able to secure top and bot lane tower pretty early on. Gonna pick up the Rift Herald there, potentially use it to break open that mid lane turret, the last tier 1 turret left standing. And it looks like that is the call. Here it comes. Although Shavana diving in onto the Caitlyn, gonna take her out. Lehigh trades back.
I'll
They
say
will
pick
get the
out what they were
shutdown.
aiming for that tower. Now it's just an extended fight. Zach jumping in. He's got one.
Pitt State gonna trade 2 for 2, although a shutdown going over to the side of Lehigh. I think overall that play will go in favor of Lehigh. Gonna trade back a lot of gold. It is a little unfortunate that shutdown went onto the Lulu instead of the Jinx or the Shavana. Lulu not going to be able to make as much use of that gold. And here comes the Aatrox. Gonna clean up this fight for the Pitt State side. And that will trade favor back, I think, over to the Pit State side, and they're going to look to steal away some of this Shyvana's jungle on their way out.
With that Amumu CC, like I said, Pitt State's looking to just make a bunch of picks, and you can see that in their last fight. Yes, it had four or five from either side, but there was never more than 2 or 3 fighting at one time. Just a bunch of small skirmishes spread out over the map. Pitt State really had a game plan going in, and looks like they're executing. Literally in this case.
And man, that Aatrox damage is just massive. Vladimir having to flash away. Could be getting the kill onto the Pike. Pike just going to slip away. Pitt State really diving in for this. Zach might be getting taken out on the way, but no, he's going to dash to safety. Just barely making it out. Pitt State going to push in, get that tier 2 turret in the mid lane. That's going to really open the map. With Dragon number 3 spawning, Pitt State's going to look to reset and contest this third Drake.
And
we
third
do have
Drake,
an Ocean Soul. Oh, okay.
And so with that third Drake, you said it's Ocean, and third Drake is also what determines the Dragon Soul and the map of the game. So I'm seeing a bunch of these extra bushes to go with the Ocean Drake, adding all that extra blind space for both teams.
Yeah,
How do you
this
think
Ocean
that
Drake actually
affects?
could not be better for Pitt State. As you said, with those extra bushes, it makes this map very dangerous for the side of Lehigh. Because Pike or Amumu or Zach or Aatrox could be waiting in any one of those bushes, and we see...
And as you said, Pike straight out of the bush sets up a pick and tears him back down.
So the vision game is going to have to be very, very strong from the Lehigh side, but Pike able to make expert use of that... Oh, I forget the name of the item. I always complain about it.
The Duskblade?
Is it called Duskblade?
I'm not sure which item. The
one that spots wards out and lets you kill him in one hit.
Oh, no, that's not Duskblade. I don't remember what it's called.
Alrighty, Pitt State pushing in on the bot side, looking to take a fight here. This could be the last of the game if they get the ace. Ribbon gonna go down, and
you didn't quite see it, but as a Caitlyn player, that bullet was a headshot. You can see it with a slightly larger bullet and some extra visuals to go with it. So that would have absolutely taken out the Shyvana there under her own tower,
and it
leaving
looks
just Flag
like
to defend.
we have lost our feed to the game. We'll be maybe looking to get that back, but I believe that we were going to be closing that game out shortly thereafter anyhow, so we'll be right back after a quick break.
Pitt State has expanded health services through a partnership with Community Health Center. Medical and behavioral services are available and always there for you. CHC will see you regardless of your ability to pay. Complete the financial assistance form, and CHC will bill you based on your personal income and not your family's. Your bill isn't tied to your academics, so you won't face course holds due to unpaid bills. To transfer providers for medication, sign up for an establishing visit. We recommend using Apothecare for convenient pharmacy delivery to your doorstep. Signature required. Don't forget to bring your insurance card on your first visit, and CHC will keep it on file. All insurance types are accepted. If you experience food insecurity, visit our Gorilla Pantry. Walk-ins are always welcome. CHC partners with Safe House to offer certified advocates and crisis and violence prevention, and conduct SANE exams on campus for evidence collection.
Discounted services are offered at all Southeast Kansas locations. Show your Pitt State ID and your copay is waived.
Alrighty, and welcome back. We are unfortunately not going to be able to get the rest of that game in, as it ended pretty abruptly after that technical issue. So what happened was the Pitt State roster ended up getting the ace that we were discussing, closed out the inhibitor, and were able to just push in and close the game within 30 seconds of us losing that feed. So really well played from the Pitt State side. I expect that it was just a very dominant showing from Pitt State. They really utilized the win cons and the strengths of their composition to build and further their lead at every point. Um, so what can Lehigh do going into game two? What adaptations do you expect to see out of their draft?
Well, I think part of it is identifying where their problems were because Lehigh was looking to just build a team fight and they never got an opportunity to team fight. They were just kept getting picked off largely by that Pike. So I would expect that one of their bands will go in that direction because he was dominant in lane and then was able to carry that over for a bunch of surprise kills. But we'll see if they have the same sort of threat assessment that I do.
Fair enough. That Pike very dangerous in the bot lane, but that Aatrox also very dangerous in the top side. Saw multiple solo kills going over to the Pitt State top side. So we'll see what adaptations Lehigh makes going into the draft for game number 2.
And
Alrighty, and we are back here with game number 2. We're getting right into draft. Pitt State is still on the blue side. Lehigh choosing red side after losing game number 1. First two bands are going to go the same way. Pitt State still not liking the Evelyn. Lehigh still saying they're not going to give up Lehigh. And, well, like you were saying, they did not like that Pike from game number 1. Not surprised to see that band coming out.
all right, so Pitt State looks like for the initial set of 3 taking the same set of bands. So maybe they are just saying we're confident and happy with how that game went. We'll just run it
They didn't
back.
feel threatened by anything that Lehigh threw at them that time. But Lehigh gonna take the Pike off the table. And Pitt State looking to come out same initial draft. They might just be looking to run it back straight up.
And why wouldn't you? You have a game like that, game 1. It seems pretty clear. If I was sitting in Pitt State's shoes, I'd be confident in running it back. I'd try it again.
Although without the Pike, we'll have to see what adaptations Pitt State makes for the draft. They might bring out something like the Nautilus or a Leona, maybe a Thresh. Just another hook champion to kind of set up the same kind of play style.
Then Lehigh taking it a little safe, seeing the Amumu and assuming he's probably going to be jungling again. Then you get to feel all right, picking
Lehigh
your jungler and taking the
Kaisa instead of the Jinx this time. Little bit more defensive options there with the Kaisa ultimate and with that evolved, is it the E, the movement speed ability for the Kaisa?
The movement speed ability lets you get that invisibility on the dash.
Raven as a response. Just really trying to lean into early lane dominance, try to shut down that Kaisa early. Pitt State going to pick up the Renekton. Blind,
but this was one of Lehigh's bans last time, and we discussed how that was probably one of their bans, as it's one of the highly played by our top laner. So if they're picking it blind, but they're just taking those comfort picks, and we saw how that comfort pick worked out for him last game on that Aatrox. So
Lehigh going to opt into the Fiora to answer that Renekton. We'll have to see if they're able to go toe-to-toe with Pitt State's new top lane. Although, banning the Aatrox here, I'm not sure why they would ban the Aatrox when they see the Renekton picked here. Maybe they think that's a Renekton mid.
I would be surprised to know the numbers on that. I haven't seen Renekton mid in a long time, enough that I don't know. I would still consider him a flex pick.
Yeah, looks like
Lehigh still banning
Lehigh is really believing that Renekton is going mid. Going to ban 2 top laners. Pitt State looking to get rid of the Lulu. And they're going to take out the Vladimir as well. I expect Lehigh to take their support here. Maybe something like a Lux or something. Somebody to just help keep the Kaisa safe in lane.
I'm saying what are you answering? We know support locked in for the Pitt State side, so they're looking to fight a really aggressive Draven, and that's all they've got to respond to right now.
Fair enough. So we are going to see the Lux. Well, Lux could go mid here, though, so I don't want to say that is a Lux support yet. We'll see what Pitt State answers with. And there is that Nautilus. Once again, Pitt State kind of setting up a bit of a pick comp here. Draven Nautilus going to be a very strong bot lane. So I believe we just have the Pitt State mid lane left to lock in. And there's the Katarina for the Pitt State mid laner. And as we said, that was one of Pitt State's most played. It was one of the bans in last game. We'll see how Lehigh rounds out their composition here. Whether that Lux goes mid or support.
With Poppy, this draft seemingly going very much in Pitt State's favor. They largely getting a run back on their successful comp from game one, with most of the changes being to put them on a more comfortable champion. Outside of that, we have the switch from Pike to Nautilus, which feels a little bit more defensive, putting in your tanky hook champion instead of the assassin Pike. But depending on how Pitt State's feeling, being that extra tanky means that you can just keep going in, because there's not necessarily so much for the other side to do. So we'll have to see if they do opt in on that full aggression that it looks like they're setting up paired with the Draven.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure. I suspect we're going to see that Lux go mid and Poppy support. Although it's been a long time since I've seen in Poppy support. They could be looking to maybe put... I've seen Shyvana go top before, so it could be Shyvana top, Poppy jungle. Kind of interested to see exactly where this Lehigh comp plays out. But I suppose we'll have to just wait and see, and we'll get into game number 2.
Pitt State has expanded health services through a partnership with Community Health Center. Medical and behavioral services are available and always there for you. CHC will see you regardless of your ability to pay. Complete the financial assistance form, and CHC will bill you based on your personal income and not your family's. Your bill isn't tied to your academics, so you won't face course holds due to unpaid bills. To transfer providers for medication, sign up for an establishing visit. We recommend using Apothecare for convenient pharmacy delivery to your doorstep. Signature required. Don't forget to bring your insurance card on your first visit, and CHC will keep it on file. All insurance types are accepted. If you experience food insecurity, visit our Gorilla Pantry. Walk-ins are always welcome. CHC partners with Safe House to offer certified advocates and crisis and violence prevention, and conduct SANE exams on campus for evidence collection.
Discounted services are offered at all Southeast Kansas locations. Show your Pitt State ID and your copay is waived.
Alrighty, and we are back in here for game number 2. Pitt State versus Lehigh. If you're just now joining us, Pitt State is up in the series 1-0. They brought home game number 1 in a very dominant fashion. Lehigh with some adaptations to their draft, banning away some of the picks that brought Pitt State their success. However, Pitt State with some pretty handsome adaptations of their own. Their top laner on their most played champion now in the Renekton, as opposed to their second most in the Aatrox. Although I will say losing the Pike, I think is quite the substantial loss there in that bot lane. But we'll see if they're able to get off into some early lane domination as they had last time. Both teams just kind of sussing each other out here. Nothing too crazy going to happen.
Yeah, Lehigh taking that classic 5-point defense, fully spread out all the way across the map, means that wherever Pitt State were stepping up, they were able to spot them out, especially on those two topside wards where they see the Amumu and are pinging that he's there, trying to take, or I guess not trying to take the chickens yet because they haven't spawned, but just getting vision
Looks like
on them.
Shyvana is going to look to invade Amumu's Raptors here.
And that's part of that advantage that they get from having seen the
Although
Amumu
Amumu
going for her Raptors.
rotating from his Raptors back to his own, gonna catch the Shyvana out. Shyvana gonna smite that large Raptor away. Not enough XP to hit level 2 though. She's down a lot of HP.
And both
This
of
could
them
be the first
abusing
blood
those
going over to the
AoE
State side.
abusing those AoE to make the Raptor clears faster and doable without assistance, but
It looks like both junglers just going to walk away from that. Amumu a little sad that he did not get his large Raptor there. Had he been able to get that smite secured, that would have been level 2, and that certainly would have been a kill. Nice hook there from the Nautilus, although Poppy going to stun him to the wall, and this will be
And the
first blood going over to
Ignite.
Lehigh.
well, I
Very
suppose
good
that
play there.
answers the question I was getting ready to ask, but hadn't yet because we were discussing other things in the game. Having not seen Poppy in the support role in a while, I was going to ask about what they primarily bring, if it's that hard CC or if it's more in the walling that they do, but seeing that early aggression for first blood with the hard CC plus Ignite, it looks like we've got our answer.
And a good trade there by Sean in space. Kaisa flashing forward, has to burn barrier as well. Top lane, nice fight breaking out. Very close here. Could go either way. Both flashing, but Renekton going to come out on top. First, not first blood, but a nice solo kill there for the Pitt State top lane. And with teleport up, he's going to be able to get back to lane. And Fiora is going to miss out on all of that experience in the top lane. This Renekton is now in a very strong spot.
Yeah, that's a big wave crashing, so a little bit of chip damage on the tower, not a lot because it's got the plates and we're so early in the game, but it does mean the tower's just executing those minions the whole time Fiora's running back, and so she doesn't get any of that experience and misses a whole wave.
Renekton with a strong level lead here now. Going to make things very awkward for that Fiora in the top lane.
Both junglers just rotating to get their own buffs, and it looks like Amumu's trying to invade some more. Spotting the Shyvana with the Scryer's Bloom.
Nice room there on the Pitt State. Not able to make anything happen. Force Lehigh blind off a little bit. Let Sean farm up a little bit more. The Hex Slash coming out from the Poppy. Sean going to flash away, just barely escaping. Appears I might be having some Sound issues. Am I back?
You are back.
Okay.
I had been being quiet because I thought the sound issues I was hearing from you were all on my side. Very good dive by that Katarina. Not quite making it out, but willing to trade. And Shyvana with those speedy clears able to pick up that early dragon number 1, getting the mountain dragon for a little bit of extra resistances to the Lehigh side.
Alright, Renekton gonna teleport back into lane. I gotta...
Yeah, okay, it's not just you I was about to ask, since we just switched over on my end as well.
Alright, it looks like we're having a little bit of technical problems here.
That's one of the issues of trying to record and stream multiple things at once with the unfortunate overlap from Valorant to League, but I think we're back in.
Alright. That Riot client just trying to open up. Nice binding there by the Lux. Although now that Lux has used her abilities, Katarina gonna dive right in. Nice dodge away there by the pit stay mid lane.
And
here comes the
Amumu coming on the backside. I think that was really, really good pathing for him, because if you watched, he came out of the Shyvana's jungle. That he didn't walk down river. He came from an invade to that gank. So a little bit more unexpected, I think, by that Lux, and it tagged her out. But they do
haven't answered that push in the top side. Fiora forced to reset, not killed, but still going to lose all that experience to the tower. Renekton looking to push in the next wave as well, try to waste more of this Shyvana's time. Mumu going to steal the Lehigh blue side jungle away.
And
nice reset in. Pit state bot lane also pushes in.
And stealing enemy camps always good, because whatever benefit you're getting, you're denying the opponent. But I do want to ask, with Amumu picking up that blue buff, how big is that? Because typically junglers think about their buffs being the primary camps for them, but Shyvana is a monolith champion, so she still gets that cooldown reduction, but she is missing a large part of what the blue buff does anyways.
Mostly just denying golden experience there with that invade, but a nice gank then able to come off the back of the pathing from that invade. Secure another kill onto that Lux.
And
a little bit of gold into the Katarina's
Reagan
pocket.
needs to be careful in that bot with like a third of his health, because we've seen that Poppy a few times manage to get from the bush and pin him against the wall. Has been very, very dangerous so far this game.
Green guy with another gank. Nice W there to get away. Although not going to be quite enough. Those top laners flashing. Renekton's going to get low. Trade on the bottom side. Nice. From the Poppy. So they're going to trade support to top lane. I think I'll take that trade as pit state.
Well, they did get a couple in the bot side. They were able to pick up the Katarina while the Fiora was dying top. Katarina was getting caught out.
I missed that Katarina. So overall trade, nice trade there for Lehigh, trying to doing a good job of stemming the gold deficit that was going towards that pit state. Pit state now up just 1,000 gold.
And we're about 40 seconds out from the second dragon spawning. Lehigh currently with the mountain dragon giving extra resistance, and looks like they're setting up to make the ocean dragon very quickly. They've got vision in the river and in the dragon pit, and Shyvana is clearing out Amumu's red.
Poppy with a good roam here. Lux just gonna get away. Nice dodge there from the
Is she
Katarina.
gonna get away though? Yeah.
Nice footwork there from Katarina, just barely managing to stay alive for all those abilities.
The Shyvana roaming up, but then
Lux sticking around, a dangerous call potentially.
they might be looking to catch them in this river. They're, let's say, outnumbered, but they're still looking here. Poppy with the attack.
And Lux is gonna go down, flash away from the Shyvana. That hook would have been a death sentence, I'm sure. But they should be able to collect this dragon, no problem. Nice W there, but not going to be quite enough to keep the Fiora alive. Also going to expend the Ignite there, but Renekton able to get out of the turret range before that last shot comes through.
Mistake looking for the extra regeneration step.
Just being a monster in this top lane. We can see now why Lehigh was so quick to ban it in game number 1.
Third Drake, it looks like, is going to be that Kimtech Drake. And so that, like we were discussing on game 1, the third Drake determines map changes. What sorts of things are we looking at for the Kimtech Drake?
Let me give you a hug.
Kimtech Drake, I only saw it for a second. I know.
Nice play there from the bot side. Poppy actually flashed away, although the bot lane, not quite.
One out.
Nice, they're going to hold some safety, and they're going to take that kill to the Amumu, actually. The Lehigh bot lane will get out. No Raven will snag up at least one kill. I believe that's going to be a shutdown on the Poppy going over the Draven. Not what you want to see if you're Lehigh.
Yeah, and while that bot lane fight was happening, Shyvana was cleaning up the grubs topside. So despite the early grubs for Pit State, they're not going to
Nice
get
binding
the
there
6
from
of them
Lux. Keep
this
yourself
time.
alive.
Renekton maybe catching the Shyvana out, but now he's facing a 2v1. He's been handling the 1v1 so far. Has he built up enough lead to make this challenge worth it? He certainly seems to think so.
Here comes the Amumu. He's going to turn this into a 3v2 Poppy with a nice roam. And Pit State in the 3v2. Keep looking for more here. Renekton trying to get another kill off the back of that play.
Yeah, it could have been very dangerous with that Kimtech map, because the Poppy came flying in off of the empowered blast cone. I don't know if Poppy would have been part of that fight if we hadn't switched over already. Didn't work out in Lehigh's favor this time because the Amumu was able to slip out the backside with his bandage toss. That's some good environmental to make this go very differently.
Here comes Katarina trying to pick up another kill. Poppy trying to catch the Lux alive. Not going to be enough. Katarina diving in to pick up 2 but die under the turret.
Meanwhile,
Raven
just farming up and abusing his axes to get that extra gold. As he catches those axes, he builds up glory. Adoration stacks. And so when he goes for kills later, that gets cashed out for some extra free gold on the path of that Raven trying to help out, just farming the minions and maybe getting more out of it and catching all those axes.
Well, just gonna try to snipe that blue buff away, not gonna make it happen. Mumu burning a smite to secure it. And Fiora just cannot really approach this, these minions. Renekton just zoning her off. Lehigh tier 1 turret in mid lane looking to go down here, although
Nautilus taking all of those hits. Plenty thank you, but not enough to take it with the turret.
yeah, that Luxie clearing out the minions, got the turret targeting bit faster than they were anticipating.
They do get the turret, but he does have to trade for it. I don't know if that's what he was looking for. Anna this time picking up the Rift Herald for Lehigh.
Not going to be enough though, as big shutdown going over Dora. And Katarina also getting caught out there, trying to make a play there.
Yeah,
This
just
Poppy just
had that
putting in some massive work for the Lehigh team.
Had that continued chain CC mostly from the Poppy on that cat. I think the cat going in there was hold and get some resets off that group fight, but not much to do when you're held down by the hammer.
That steadfast presence from Poppy gonna prevent Katarina from dashing around. Poppy pick up defense just absolutely brutal. Absolutely figure out how to get around it. Hadn't caught it in Champ's leg, but Pitt State has 4 champions with dash abilities. Poppy, oh, nice finding there from the luck. The catch they're able to turn around 1 kill off of it, but Lehigh gonna trade 2 for 1 in that fight. Though notably, Draven was able to cash in on those adoration stacks, getting just a little bit of gold off before he was taken down.
So saying 4 out of 5 on the Pitt State team with dashes. So this is something that I don't think I realized. Does the steadfast presence then Nautilus hook is a dash as far as the steadfast is concerned?
Yes, it is, and we already saw that interaction happen once as Nautilus was trying to hook away to safety. The Poppy was able to use that steadfast presence to move him into position. And
flashing over the binding. Doesn't
beautiful
quite
all in
happen.
from that Katarina, but Lux just barely managing to stay alive.
It's not dense.
But yes, the bandage toss from Amumu counts as a dash. The hook from Nautilus, whether that's on a champion or on the terrain, counts as a dash. And so Poppy is just really a brutal last pick here from Lehigh.
Got it.
Yeah, and you can see both teams trading the vision and pinging out as they see the other team trying to do the same. Looks like they may be queuing up a fight here in this mid lane or slightly into the topside jungle.
Fair enough in 1 minute. We can see both teams trying to set up around that topside jungle. Zay's looking to get some pressure in on this mid lane turret.
But a lot of the vision we're seeing on the red side here is it seems to be directed on the bot half of the map, looking around Dragon, the control wards that Amumu's clearing out right now.
I believe those wards have been set up for the last dragon fight and just hadn't been cleared out or moved yet.
And we're seeing these great big Scryer's blooms with the Kimtech Drake making bigger plants for the whole map. Getting those big blast cones that I mentioned earlier, Poppy lifting herself into the fight. And on the vision fight, these Scryer blooms letting both teams clear out a ton of wards.
Try to get that away. Now that Discover Crowd is also active as a stress. Big damage coming out onto that Lux, knocks it down to about half health. Might have to reset for this Baron fight. Gonna look to stay out, clearing out the wave with her ultimate. Nice! Not lit.
stopping once again with those huge pins on the wall. That extra true damage, hitting all of her critical points, both ones provided by her passive and then one there on her ult to clean up that
chase down this
Nautilus.
Poppy. Gonna get slowed by the Fiora though, and Poppy will get out to safety. I had not seen the Lehigh had dropped the Rift Herald on that bottom side before that fight broke out. It just crashed into that bot lane turret.
Yeah, using that Herald to try and create some extra pressure in those lanes and get it pushing again as this dragon is spawning in 10 seconds. They pick up that turret with the Herald and have it push the lane out for them so that they can look for this dragon, I think.
Not out here. Bobby can hold the blade. Stop that.
Important to note, stopping the dash midway, not stopping it completely, because with Renekton, his dash comes in 2 parts, it's the slice and dice, but he doesn't get to do part 2 if part 1 doesn't hit anybody. So, importantly, he stops inside of that presence in order so
Lehigh picks up that dragon, run down. Nautilus, nothing much that he can do. This should be Baron for the side of League.
Yeah, there you can see him pinging it, immediately rotating over. They do still have some threats with Cat and Renekton both having big AoE damage. With Renekton everything kind of perfected. Big AoE damage with the but I don't believe they can make this one. They're just gonna let that Baron go, have a look in the area to see if they can steal Brave and alter the Amumu Smite, but it's just not gonna happen. So Lehigh taking the full reset as a team, everybody backing with that empowered recall. And hit the rift again with the empowered minion.
What can Pit State do here to kind of stop the bleeding?
Well, I do think that the Renekton had a good attempt at it right there, by positionally being in the correct spot, seeing the Lehigh pull back. He went and stole their sort of jungle, but because of that, was in position to almost tag out the Fiora. So right now, Pit State needs to either completely turtle to, hunker down and survive this Baron assault, or they need to start making picks in order to remove the Baron buff from that Lehigh side.
Playing to that win con that we had established in Fan Select. Do have a nice pick top set up, but have not quite been able to execute that Poppy really hard for that.
Boldly great advantage. That's stopping the damage off Nautilus just get murdered on the backside. Yeah, caught out. Completely splitting up this
going way off Lehigh. Only Renekton is left on the map. And old what can he really do?
So it's really looking like Lehigh learned that they got picked apart and they started like team fight better than draft for. They've been forcing team fights the whole time, and it seems to be working out in their favor. Currently 25 minutes in, the gold lead is fairly minimal at just a couple thousand, but looking out at the map...
well, and if you look back at that gold graph, Pitt State had been up by 5,000. Just at I believe the 20-minute mark, they were up 5,000. So the gold swing here has been pretty massive the past 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
yeah, hitting that Baron power play. But I want to draw attention also that it's not just the...
Raven could be cut out here yet again, getting locked down by that Poppy and just deleted.
It's not just that gold though, with Lehigh stacking those neutrals. They've got the extra pinbreaks. They're here.
Yeah, Lehigh initially on the back foot, this game has really turned it around, and they are firmly in the driver's seat now.
Yeah, with that dragon spawning in 45 seconds, and that is soul point for them. So it looks like they're trying to police Pit State's red side jungle to make sure that they've got the vision, or maybe even an ambush here getting set up, because they're looking to get that dragon as it spawns. Yeah, the team's taking the blast cone over. They're looking to make this a soul point. Close the game, I think.
How to go in? Nautilus, a nice look onto the Fiora, but the rest of the team not interested to follow up on it. Just going to get away. Magnet is looking to reset, maybe looking to teleport into this fight. Though there aren't really great boards for it to teleport to. Looks like Draven is just going to get up in the fight too with the mid lane bug. There's a miscommunication there from the mid side, it looks like. They just weren't sure how to best approach that fight, and they ended up coming out of the round knowing. Fiora now looking like she might go and get soul on
all four of those are absolutely huge. Often you'll see Fiora use their ultimates, not so much the damage, but just to confirm the heals and kills. But right there, we see that Fiora getting all four of those critical points for extra true damage on the Renekton.
Pit State just kind of falling apart at those seams here. Chemtech Soul going over to the side of Lehigh. They're going to look to push this in. I think Pit State might have one or two good fights left in them. If they can turn around maybe at this Baron play, they might have a way back in here, but it's starting to look very dire for the Pit State side.
Yeah, but we did see on that last Baron, the gold swing from the last Baron is some 6-ish thousand. So if Pit State can make a Baron play here with the Baron spawning in 20 seconds, it's well within the realm of possibilities still if they turn it around. They do still need to look out for Lehigh's Dragon Soul with that Chemtech Soul, but because the Dragon Soul has been claimed, that now means that every dragon going forward is Elder Dragon.
Potential win con there for Pit State if they're able to wait out this 5 minutes and then somehow take that into Raven. Raven once again getting caught out. Pit State now in 4-3. Kai's diving in. Rana diving in. This will be the end right here.
Lehigh don't need to wait on that Baron.
Not gonna make it.
Elder Dragon, they're just going. They know that they've got power and they want to use it. They're hard got 3 of them behind her turret, trading 1 for 4 in that fight, and then Lehigh just gets to move into the base. And notably though, they don't have many minis. They've got 4 castles here, and the wave catches up to them. So they may be able to
trying to secure a play here to clear out the minions. If we can knock these minions down, then they might be able to survive, but I don't know.
They're doing everything they can, and Poppy just holding them still, same as they have been all game. Making that Katarina hero play into a Katarina execution. But they're not
Katarina
quite
did
able to
enough. They are still alive. The Nexus is still standing. And it looks like Lehigh gonna fall back to that Baron. If they push out, this would be not go for the Lehigh during the Baron. Get away.
Lehigh's playing it really, really safe right now. No need to throw the game overextending on the final push. They know that they've got the strength. They know that they love the man from having just full Katarina, so Pitt State couldn't force a fight on the Baron. They just go and pick up that Baron for free, and rather than immediately pushing it, for 3 resets. I think that's a very, very smart play. I think one of the most common mistakes you'll see a League of Legends team make is they will get ahead, they'll be in base, and try and end when they can. So I think that's very, very smart, safe play from the Lehigh side to just back off and take the control.
Going down, but Poppy gonna catch the Moo-Moo. They will be down man again here. Poppy and Savannah just running down. Flash forward for Poppy, gonna ult to knock up the team, and this might be the end here.
Playing very aggressive, doing that quick ult with a quick knock up, no use behind the CC is enough to get us a stack for the Kaisa to come rushing in with her ult and turn this into a slaughter. 4 men in the base with the Baron, and have a full wave crashing into a super.
Yes, it's Baron and Power 2 crashed into mid lane in the game. Play gonna get shut down by that Poppy. Main guy looking to try to keep the play alive, but late, that will be the next going down. Lehigh will take game number 2. So excellent adaptations there from the Lehigh draft. That Poppy for the last pick of the game. What a pick. Poppy just putting in massive amounts of work this game. Absolutely have to give the what's going on?
At Director Dom, we are hearing you. Okay. Yeah, so that Poppy being the 5th pick, was that just because after the draft they realized that it was what they needed, or do you think they had that planned the whole time and
Well, I
setting
think it
them
just
up?
kind of slotted in real nicely for them. They saw that the Pitt State roster had 4 members that had dashes, and they said, hey, Poppy just kind of shuts down their whole team, and boy, did it. So
Yeah, and I think it was on the play of that Poppy as well, because we've been talking a lot about how that steadfast presence is stopping all of the dashes, but what I was seeing a lot of in that game was a bunch of very, very good positioning to constantly be nailing the walls on those tackles. Getting the stuns more often than not became very, very dangerous for that Pitt State side.
yep, very heads up play from that Poppy. Always seemed to be in the right place at the right time. So MVP for that game definitely going to the Lehigh support. We'll have to see what adaptations Pitt State makes going into game number 3. We'll see if they think that Poppy was really a problem or if it was just a matter of their composition. We'll have to see if they make changes and where those changes go.
Pitt State has expanded health services through a partnership with Community Health Center. Medical and behavioral services are available and always there for you. CHC will see you regardless of your ability to pay. Complete the financial assistance form, and CHC will bill you based on your personal income and not your family's. Your bill isn't tied to your academics, so you won't face course holds due to unpaid bills. To transfer providers for medication, sign up for an establishing visit. We recommend using Apothecare for convenient pharmacy delivery to your doorstep. Signature required. Don't forget to bring your insurance card on your first visit, and CHC will keep it on file. All insurance types are accepted. If you experience food insecurity, visit our Gorilla Pantry. Walk-ins are always welcome. CHC partners with Safe House to offer certified advocates and crisis and violence prevention, and conduct SANE exams on campus for evidence collection.
Discounted services are offered at all Southeast Kansas locations. Show your Pitt State ID and your copay is waived.
Alrighty, welcome back. We're getting straight into draft. Pitt State has selected to be on red side this time. So we'll see what they can do with the counter pick here. Lehigh
So-
still getting rid of that Nyla, not going to let that get through the draft. Very afraid of Sean on that Nyla. And Pitt State still not letting the Evelyn through. Lehigh's
Having-
still afraid of that Pike from game one, not going to let them bring that one back to life.
Hui again. So it looks like Pitt State's just really afraid of this specific roster of champions, not really adjusting bans so much based on previous games, or maybe they're just holding them from their own scouting and homework again on Lehigh's team. But
See, with a Shyvana ban here, interesting adaptation here. I wouldn't have thought that Shyvana had been the one that was being the problem for them. But maybe they say they just want to get this Lehigh jungler off on a champion that they're less comfortable with.
And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad play, because we've seen them on the Shyvana for both of those first games. Had several times where it was just opportune jumps in from the back line, but also Shyvana well known for that really, really fast clear. And that is the other thing that in game 2, Pitt State was struggling with, as Lehigh was sweeping up all of those neutral objectives.
And Lehigh says, if you're gonna take away our jungler's pick, we're gonna take away your jungler's pick. They're gonna pick up the Amumu for themselves, but Pitt State gonna answer with the Poppy, and Renekton also locked in here in the first round of picks. So that Poppy, they said, was a problem for Lehigh. Maybe it can be a problem against Lehigh.
Yeah, no need to ban it if you're going to play it yourself. And then Renekton getting that comfort pick again to...
Yep. We did
So-
see that Renekton make excellent use in the top lane, got off to a monster lead, and then just not quite able to push that over for the victory. Lehigh going to pick up the Morgana for the support.
So Lehigh building a bunch of CC already with only the 2 champs locked in with Amumu and Morgana, and we're already looking at some 5 seconds worth of crowd control. So with last game being the problem of Poppy holding everybody still, they don't have Poppy, but they may still just hold him there.
And they're going to lock in that Fiora again in the top lane. Going to look to run back that top lane matchup. Did not go so well for them at in the last game, but maybe they can turn that around here. Pitt State going to pick up Vayne for their AD carry, and we're going into the second round of bans. That leaves mid laners open for the side of Lehigh. Pitt State going to ban away a Lulu. Suppose they might be suspecting that Morgana to go mid.
And we have seen that already, not the Morgana, but some of those mage supports that could go either way. Last game we had the Lux that we initially thought was going to play support, but did end up playing mid there with the Poppy support. So Pitt State maybe thinking Lehigh's trying the same sort of thing this game as well.
Yep. And Lehigh going to ban away that Katarina. Had a bit of a problem with it. Pitt State going to respond by banning away that Lux. We'll see how Lehigh closes this one out. Whether they target the mid lane a little bit more or...
Zach. So yeah, taking that mid lane from game 1 and saying we don't want to fight that either. Play something new.
Alrighty, and I believe that will make the Pitt State mid lane on a new champion each match. This Pitt State AD carry also on a different champion for each match. We'll see how they, whether they give the last pick to their mid lane, and it looks like they will, locking in Leona for support.
Yeah, so with the ADC on a new champ for each match, I am interested to see how this one stacks up with the Vayne. Always a solid pick, but typically you see that picked against teams with more of a tanky presence because Vayne sort of specializes in cutting down the tanks. So what are we seeing for this game?
Alrighty, and it looks like we're going to have another Vladimir in the mid lane, and Kog'Maw, interesting last pick. Nope, going to
Not
swap
quite.
that over to the Varus. Yet another champion with a bit of lockdown. See if it actually gets locked in here. Going to Zarya, and the Varus will be the one that they lock in. Very strong team fighting potential here from the Lehigh side. A lot of lockdown, and Azir coming in as the last pick for that Pitt State side. You know, their mid laner Billy does play quite a bit of Azir. We'll see if he can channel his inner faker and make some excellent plays here. So there we have the rosters locked in. I believe that will be now Poppy Jungle this time around instead of support. And we'll have to see what Korean guy can really make happen. I expect to see Pitt State playing around this top side. If they can get that Renekton snowballing, that'll be a really hard avalanche for Lehigh to stop. What do you think Lehigh's win cons are going into this game number 3?
I think that we're going to see a lot of explosive team fights. I think seeing both teams drafted sort of a team fight comps. Lehigh with the AOE, and then the Vlad ready to be anywhere in a fight because he can just pull out with his W, so he can deliver big damage anywhere in those team fights. And I think that this one is going to be extremely scrappy for both teams.
Lehigh definitely does have a large wombo combo, lots of big AoE ultimates between the Varus, the Amumu, the Vladimir, and the Morgana, and the Fiora to some extent, if she can get all those abilities procced. But yeah, I believe we should see Pitt State playing to that top side, or I would like to see Pitt State playing to that top side, getting that Renekton rolling, and then transition that power into these team fights. If they can come in, basically, you know, putting Lehigh a man down by really shutting the Fiora down and getting that Renekton rolling, we could be looking at the Pitt State victory. But we'll have to see how they play it out. We'll get into Game 3 right after this.
Pitt State has expanded health services through a partnership with Community Health Center. Medical and behavioral services are available and always there for you. CHC will see you regardless of your ability to pay. Complete the financial assistance form, and CHC will bill you based on your personal income and not your family's. Your bill isn't tied to your academics, so you won't face course holds due to unpaid bills. To transfer providers for medication, sign up for an establishing visit. We recommend using Apothecare for convenient pharmacy delivery to your doorstep. Signature required. Don't forget to bring your insurance card on your first visit, and CHC will keep it on file. All insurance types are accepted. If you experience food insecurity, visit our Gorilla Pantry. Walk-ins are always welcome. CHC partners with Safe House to offer certified advocates and crisis and violence prevention, and conduct SANE exams on campus for evidence collection.
Discounted services are offered at all Southeast Kansas locations. Show your Pitt State ID and your copay is waived.
We are back with game number 3. If you're just now joining us, the series is tied up 1-1. This game is for all the marbles here. Pitt State winning game 1, Lehigh coming back with game 2 with some nice adaptations to their draft. We'll see what they can do in game number 3.
Looks like Poppy and Renekton coming off the starting line a little bit late. If we were looking for an invade, looks like that's not going to happen. Both teams just sort of setting up a defensive line. Not the full 5-point defense, it is more focused bot side. But looks like Lehigh trying to use the power of that Morgana Q to do an early invade, but not going to get anything there. And looks like even if they had landed it, that the cleanse is available for Vayne.
I think that's really heads up there from the Pit State bot lane. Gonna need cleanse against this composition with the Amumu, Morgana. We talked about the CC that they had drafted. So, cleanse gonna be coming in clutch for that Pit State bot laner, I suspect, at some point this game.
Yeah, as you were saying with all the AoE CC from the ults, but also on that Morgana Q, because a lot of that power is front loaded into her Q, and so the timing of that crowd control just goes on forever. I believe at rank 1 it's a second and a half, and it goes up to 2 or 3, yeah, right there already, just taking that initial Q, just a sneaky one from the bush, holding Vayne forever, and they've already taken a third or so of their health on that trade. Very strong opening trades.
Both junglers starting on the bot side of the map. Poppy looking to rotate up to that top side. Like to see that from Pit State side.
And it looks like both junglers also going for a full clear as they do take the time to go from buffs down to Gromp or Krugs, depending on which side they're on. Before
Nathan having to flash away from that fight.
And back out, but he's got the teleport, so he'll come right back in, burn the teleport early.
Circled by your sail.
So Renekton and Fiora are about even, but the Renekton has backed once already, so...
Wasn't able to purchase anything off that back though.
He got a refillable potion,
Oh, fair enough.
which isn't much, but it's some free health that he's using to refill right now. Another initial mana of 500 means that you don't have enough for the Doran's item at 450 plus the refillable. He is looking for that super aggression, using classic Renekton to bully the lane. He's trying to get the Fiora. Didn't quite happen, but he's happy to keep the face going with a flash up the wall and first blood to that Renekton. Playing very aggressive, not quite a dive because they had the jungler coming. Good job working with his own jungler to make that counter happen. As you said, playing towards that top side, trying to get the Renekton's bed. Going in on the dive, and he's got a second one.
Beautiful play there by the Renekton, baiting out the Fiora W, auto-attacking a minion instead of her, and then getting that follow-up.
Yeah, so very, very good start for the Pit State team, getting their Renekton snowballing. Vayne having to flash away from that Morgana Q. Bars flash, and his Q is not quite enough to finish Sean off. But he does need to back off there, so. Every lane doing their best to get this early farm lead going, and it looks like both teams are trying to vie for this early dragon. It is a Cloud Drake that's spawning in, but PSU here with the vision advantage on that bot side with the control ward in the pit and behind by the Amumu's red buff. Blue buff, sorry.
Monster CS leads here for the Lehigh mid and bot lanes, each up by 10 CS or more.
And at 5 minutes, that's huge. That is almost 2 full waves, because one wave of minions is 6 or sometimes 7, depending if it's a cannon wave. And so 2 full waves advantage at 5 minutes for multiple members. It's those little things that stack up throughout the game. Oh, but Poppy going through with a dive, ganking from the back side of the turret, tagging the Fiora out again. It looks like Pitt State just looking to bully that Fiora, keep the hard carry out of the game, and keep their...
Like we were discussing in that champion select, Pitt State strategy does seem to be to really focus on that Renekton, get him rolling. That way they can snowball their victory. Mid lane, flashing forward, not quite going to get the kill though. Vladimir going to look to just walk away now.
And Pitt State did have that vision advantage on the Dragon, but focusing topside on that Renekton means that with no jungler on the bottom half of the map, Amumu is free to take his time going and picking up that Dragon. Just like game 1, we see Pitt State trading the Void Grubs for that initial Dragon, and it worked out for them the first time, but we'll see how it goes with this second time, or third game, second time making that trade. So Pitt State getting all three, the initial set of the Void Grubs, in so doing letting Lehigh have the first dragon. It's a Cloud Dragon, so they'll be running around a little bit faster. And as we've been seeing them be right place, right time, all the time.
And here's another gank on the Fiora. Pitt State really laying into her.
Taking another one. Alright, so with the Renekton up 3-0 and now 15 farm, we should be expecting to see him start making some big roams, putting that pressure into other lanes. Seems to have gotten all the pressure they need from their lane, and it's time to move on. But Lehigh going really, really deep on this bot lane. They're diving almost
coming in from the mid lane. Not gonna make anything happen.
They didn't get any kills off that, but man, they wanted them. They were chasing really, really far in, and so I think if Pitt State can recognize that a little bit faster next time, we saw those rotations happening, but they just weren't quite fast enough. If we see Pitt State rotate on those, Lehigh can really get caught out.
Piggy there with a cheeky stop of the Vladimir back. We see that CS gap closing there in the mid lane, but still growing in the bot lane.
And now with the 1v1 Renekton versus Fiora, Fiora went in very, very confidently, and to their credit made it much closer than I thought it was going to be, but with that big, big lead that we've just already been spoon-fed to the Renekton, already up 3-0, there's just not much for that Fiora to do in those fights.
Yeah, although with that lead, Renekton did sacrifice his build a little bit, building an early Grievous Wounds item to help mitigate some of that Fiora healing. So could have had a completed item already, but chose to buy some components for another item. Gonna slow his build down just a little bit.
Poppy once again being a monster, just tagging another one, getting those stuns into the wall. Very strong as the support last game, and it would seem also very strong as the jungler this game. To the point on Renekton slowing his build, with that back, he has finished his first item. But I think that the anti-healing in that Grievous is not just for the Fiora, because the Fiora does get the healing from proccing their defense, or their vital points, and from their ultimate mostly, but I think that the Renekton is just looking ahead, knowing that they're going to have to spread this power lead out across the other lanes, and seeing more like Varus in the mid lane, or Vladimir in the mid lane, coming up with big healing on those Qs. And I think Renekton is just looking ahead in the game a little bit, trying to preemptively set himself up to be taking these team fights rather than these 1v1s.
What does Pitt State need to do to transition this lead in the top lane to the rest of the map?
Well,
nice play there from the Pitt State mid lane. Not quite going to be enough though. Poppy with a nice stun on there. Going to have to flash out though as Vladimir re-engages. And here comes Morgana.
You get the Azir. fun to see there, the Poppy tackle getting the stun there because it hit the Azir wall. So that Azir wall is still a wall, and even if it stops them on contact, and so it does let the Poppy trigger their stun on that. So what does Pitt State need to be doing to move their leads around? Well, they already have that first set of the grubs, and so having the Renekton on top side very strong, just outputting pressure by existing there, should open it up for Poppy to get the second set of grubs, and there they go, going to take it right now with Poppy and Renekton both in the grub pit at 12 minutes. They're taking the second set, using Renekton's pressure to just push Fiora around, and then it's 3 Void Grubs number 2. And that's free pressure everywhere as we get that extra tower damage and start spawning the Void Mites, the little Void Bugs that you'll see as Pitt State starts hitting these towers. But bot side, they're just getting hammered by these Morgana Qs. And
Even with a
so
2-level lead over this Fiora. As a top lane main myself, that's just such a depressing number to see when your opponent comes to lane with a 2-level lead on you. It just feels like such a hopeless game for you.
yeah, and we do need to see that Renekton start spreading that power around, because it is almost insurmountable uphill battle in that top lane set, being down 4 kills and 20 CS at 13 minutes. But if there's a champion to make up those deficits, Fiora is one of them. We saw some close fights even at the 2-level deficit because of those vital points and blocking the stuns. Just very high skill floor, high skill ceiling makes some big things Fiora can do. But it looks like Renekton knows that, and he just doesn't care. He's decided he's big enough, he's just going to keep running at them and challenge the sword to see what they do. He's got that wave clear so that he can keep it constantly pushing, and he takes another one.
Nice solo kill there going over to the Pitt State top lane. He's going to knock down this first turret here.
Once again, using the Void Grubs, all 6 of them, to get those Void Mites and take a turret of 414. So he's coming up huge with tons and tons of money, taking all.
It'd be interesting to see where exactly the 3,000 or the 2,000 gold lead is, and I imagine it is all 2,000 on exclusively that Renekton.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of it is on the Renekton being up 5-0. 5-0-1. He's helped with 6 of Pitt State's 7 kills, and he's got that tower with all the plates. He's feeling rich, he's feeling strong. Now with his lane opened up, with that first tower gone, let's see it transfer everywhere else. But Fiora knows lane phase over, so she immediately shifts to other lanes, and maybe it's insurmountable when facing down the Renekton, but when facing down the rest of the team, looks like not so much. So we need to start seeing Pitt State make plays across the whole field. We've had that very, very strong top lane focus, and it's been working out with their top lane and on the neutrals, taking, it looks like right now, contesting the Herald. Fiora going in deep to try and save Morgana. Doesn't quite work, but with the free dashes or the lunges, gets to freely just run out. Looks like maybe gonna get caught there in the jungle, but he's gonna run out as Pitt State rotates to make a fight happen at the Herald. Poppy missing the Hammer's verdict, or Keeper's verdict rather, the ultimate, trying to send him out, so Bradley is sending him back to base through the Hammer. Looks like Pitt State's just going to try and send him back to base the old-fashioned way, executing them, Renekton flashing and making sure there's no jungler to contest this Rift Herald.
Although, if Renekton gets caught here,
Pitstate going very deep to make it happen. Almost
Would
gets
be a
himself
massive
caught out.
shutdown, but he is going to be able to get back out. That shutdown is now worth 550 gold if the Lehigh side can pick it up. Yeah, we can see why Lehigh was so quick to ban it in game number 1. Kind of surprised they let it through for game number 2, but we'll see if they can shut him down before it gets to the point where it's too late, or if they can work through it.
Whiffing the ult there as Sean dodges backwards with his tumble. So nothing really going to come of that. There's not a whole lot of follow-up after that ult missed, but being bullied in that lane, Sean's still just so behind in the CS. At 16 minutes, he's down by 50 CS to Forest. Farming really well, and Morgana is just holding everybody down. They've been pushing Pitstate.
Pitstate support panicking a little bit there. Bane going in. Down to like
Almost
10
like
HP.
Backed out, but the Poppy with the big tackle, letting Bang walk away, but unfortunately they're just trading one life for another. Was able to save the carry, but couldn't also get themselves out.
Now here we're coming up on Drake number 3. This will be a bit of a moment of truth for the Pitstate roster. They do have that gold lead, but it's really all on that Renekton. So we'll see if he's able to make anything happen here. We'd like to see him drawing some pressure up to that top side. He does have teleport available, so he can come into this fight at the Dragon. So if he can force anybody on the Lehigh side to come answer him, then they can take a 4v5 at the Dragon pit. Looks like he's going to reset, though, maybe for an item purchase going into it. Will get a completed item.
Yeah, he gets that cleaver, so he's picking up his core items and is just holding that execution is calling for the Grievous.
Pitstate gonna drop that Rift Herald mid. Leona picking it up, going in. Bit of wonky pathing there. Gonna lose control of the Rift Herald.
Verdict and the whiff on everybody. Oh, this is not the fight you want to see for Pitstate. Herald getting a little bit out of control and then missing everything.
Pitstate gonna be sent running right before this Dragon fight. Just a comedy of errors there. And this should be third Drake going over to Lehigh. Although Renekton looks like he maybe wants to contest this still.
Pitstate's not out of this Dragon fight. They don't have the vision where
Pitstate
they
support
need
has
it yet,
respawned,
but
is
they are-
sprinting back to the fight.
They don't have the vision where they need it. Oh, but unfortunate, that Varus keep just picking up the blue buff. So, Pitstate looks like they're willing to fight this.
Patrick going in.
And Aluka does pick it up for Lehigh.
Lehigh gonna get the Drake, but they get the fight.
Lehigh gets cut up in the middle, trading 2-3, and Renekton cleans up everybody with a triple for the ace. So Lehigh gets Dragon number 3 and sets themselves up for the Dragon Soul Blade, with Pitstate getting a full ace right at 20 minutes. It looks like they're going to be able to pick up the outer turret mid lane, maybe even another one, so they now have the outer turrets from every lane taken out. You can see they were thinking about the Baron as a spawn, but with just 3 of them, decided to go for a big push instead, and with those early Void Grubs that we were saying to get pressure everywhere, those extra mites giving them the extra tower damage, pick a second tower out of that mid lane, and Pitstate's just going to back off and reset here.
You know, I like that call from the Pitstate roster, opting to take those towers. With the tier 2 tower in mid lane down, it really opens up the map and allows Pitstate a lot of pressure here. It's going to make it difficult for Lehigh to push out
But it
and
does
contest
mean,
these other neutral objectives as they're coming up.
it does mean if they want, they can respond with a full team of 5 to any particular space, as they know that PSU is resetting here, and it looks like they're doing just that as they're gathering on this Baron.
Yeah, Lehigh, pretty heads up play. They see the Vayne still on the bot side. They know that the jungler has just recalled, so they're going to sneak this Baron. Pit State has no idea.
Seeing the map, there's no vision. Pit State doesn't know what's happening. With the Fiora pressing mid and flat top, oh, there they are, a little bit suspicious, but Lehigh ready for them.
late.
Have Morgana on the backside, and there's nothing they can do. That's a free Baron for Lehigh.
That is such a heads-up play for Lehigh. If they don't get that Baron there, it really could have just been disastrous. One will get taken off there. This Renekton is just a monster. 10-0.
Taken off immediately and slice and dice, clear the entire wave, immediately clears the next one. Yeah, Renekton, very, very large. It looks like Pit State's idea of feed the Renekton seems to be working out for him, but Lehigh doing everything in their power, taking all of the neutrals that they can, just trying to stack up these little advantages anywhere they can, because they seem to be getting tore up. And even with this Baron buff, it still looks like they're playing on the back foot a little bit, and everything's pushing towards them. They do pick up one kill.
Going in deep there.
Bars, because GG gets caught out in the second. Bars takes 2, and Leona makes 3. He really just fighting as a team, and that's one of the problems when you put all your eggs in one basket. We saw Renekton wasn't part of that fight, and he's got all of Pit State's power right now. They go in one at a time against a team, and it just doesn't work out. One after the other, you get put down by the Varus, and Lehigh just gets the free push while they've still got this Baron buff running.
And then there for say, this time, I think, trying to push the move to this air wall. The wall went the wrong direction, and then sent the move away as Poppy was dead. Sent Poppy further, and then that sprung out the state roster and allowed the Lehigh to sweep them up 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think so too. And you were having a little bit of audio stuff with your last statement, so I'm going to repeat what you were saying. With that last fight getting a little bit too split out with a slight miscommunication or potential misdirection firing, with the Poppy trying to tackle into the Azir wall and the Azir wall going the wrong way to push Amumu away. Since Poppy's tackle is targeted, Poppy still flies with him to then be way, way deep and get caught out to let Pit State get cleaned up 1, 2, 3. Allowing that fight and the big push from Lehigh to let them get mid push, take some towers, and reset for this dragon, which is soul point for them. With the Ocean Soul being massive regeneration.
It has two options here. They can either opt to give up the drag, or they can push top. Looks like you're going to take the fight, though.
Lehigh knowing their problem areas all inning, focusing down that Renekton to start, and then they just get to split this team up. Sean getting a couple of good kills with that Vayne's power, but all the eggs in one basket and not everyone there at the same time. Azir did get to that fight. You saw the Emperor's Divide, that big ult coming through, but it's too little too late as Lehigh got him split, and it's the Dragon's Soul, and in this case it's an Ocean Soul, so it's massive regenerations that really, really helps their primary game plan of taking these team fights. Getting a tower and then just backing out while they can before Pitt State catches up to them. And once again, we're seeing that come from behind economically. Lehigh's been down most of this game, but here we are at 26 minutes, and they've got a 2,500 gold lead that they've been building off the backs of these dragons. Well, not dragons, because the dragons don't get gold anymore, but building off the backs of these neutrals that they've been able to convert into fights.
And once again, we saw Pitt State with a solid lead, but now the gold lead has flipped. And
So you're getting that
CC'd
inverse
from
divide
start to
and
finish there. What was that,
dying
5
anyways.
seconds?
Yeah, I'm doing a very good job of getting those CCs. It is a little bit easier when one of those vulnerabilities is 3 of the 5 seconds, but yeah, it's fair. They did put several of them, and the Poppy went over the wall twice to make it happen. So the Azir does get off his ult and push it back, and it's just not enough. Chaining to CC, they're doing team fights, but they're doing them as the full team on 1 or 2 members, and there's very little for Pitt State to do against
Lehigh
this.
might be looking to just push in here and end.
They're certainly going to give it their best with the full ace on the Pitt State side. Nobody's up. They've got 4 members and a minion wave. They can just keep pushing this for a while. Pitt State respawning now, so they aren't going to choose to end. They can't quite end with the Azir putting a tower back up, but pushing all the way into the Nexus and taking one of the 2 Nexus towers is very, very big for them. And on this back/reset, they're just going to clean out the jungle on their way through. Taking the red buff and looking to set for the Baron, which has since respawned. They might or might not be looking to take the fight here as they
Renekton
against the back and get items, but with that Ocean Soul, they are still full health. They're basically full mana. They are ready to fight whenever they want, but it looks like they are trying to back and do some shopping.
It's not dented.
thought maybe that they had reset, gonna look to start that Baron, but Lehigh coming in.
And Lehigh knows that they're doing it. Didn't actually reset. Like I said, they're still full health and mana from that soul. So they've got plenty to contest. They just haven't gotten their most recent round of items. And they're just gonna pick one. Go in, take the one, and now they're forcing the Baron based on the numbers. They let Pitt State start it, and they're confident in taking it. They've gone through.
Does it down to 14 HP.
Doesn't not quite there. Oh, that is heartbreaking from the Pitt State side. You go for the suicidal jump over the wall to make the steal happen, and you miss it by 14 HP.
And this should be the end here.
Getting killed, and then with Lehigh already having taken one of those Nexus turrets, pushing in, they just need to find their minion wave. Now they've got the minion buff, they've got Dragon Soul, and there now it is, they've got a minion wave. This is a free push minion. Oh, the extra aggression. They're looking to get some kills. They're gonna pay for it. They trade the
There's that Vayne coming alive. Gonna take down one, almost
like
gonna
I
take
said,
down another.
specializing in tank killing, gonna take the Aluminum and the Vlad. Azir whipping that divide. Morgana landing 1-2, and that key lasting forever, lets him tag out even the Poppy. Pitt State doing their best to play defense, but I don't think it matters. These Baron-powered minions just gonna keep pressing into the face. Azir can't fight it, Vayne can't fight them. They're forced all the way back into the fountain.
Although Vayne,
Vayne popping off with that late game. Like I said, specializing in tanks is getting everybody, but I think it's going to be a case of too little, too late. Vayne has killed
that
everybody.
will
out
be
of
the
full
ace, but the
but it's
minions,
the super minions, the Vayne
Vayne
can't
not
kill
able to
fast
clear it
enough.
out.
That is an unfortunate set there. Lehigh getting greedy. Lehigh getting greedy there at the end, so they are going to get cleaned up by that vein, but it doesn't matter. They were ending and they knew it. Super Minions finishing the Nexus.
Excellent series there. Pitt State coming out strong in game one. So we saw some excellent adaptations there from the Lehigh side for game number two. That Poppy really a dominant force in that second game. Game number three, a lot of back and forth there. Pitt State got off to a monstrous lead with that Renekton, going 10-0 at the start of the game, but just not quite enough. They put all their eggs into that basket, and then just one pick on the Renekton, and the rest of the fight just kind of gets steamrolled over for Pitt State. So unfortunate that they weren't able to make that or spread that lead around. But we saw some pretty good gameplay from both sides. Uh, I'm sure that Pitt State will have to be looking at what they can do to maybe focus on their macro play moving forward. We'll see what adaptations they make going into next week's games. Um, Overall, though, I think I'm happy with how Pitt State played for the most part in these games.
Yeah, I think so too. I think especially for this early in the season, this is game one, game two.
Yep,
Yeah,
one.
match one for them. So for being that first match of the season, I think that they did really, really well. They came into game one with a plan and executed it exactly as intended. I think that Lehigh did a good job of knowing where their win cons were after seeing that first game. They were watching how to play because in games 2 and 3, they just stacked the neutrals until they were able to take those neutrals, take the dragons, build the soul, and use it to snowball. Um,
And that Poppy pickup in the game number two was just really brutal for that Pitt State side. The Poppy did a lot to really shut down the what Pitt State wanted to do. Yeah, I think that'll be all from us here at Pitt State Esports. We'll hope to catch you on Monday with some Rocket League.